bcdW Current Today, Weekend. Episode, Every Floating City Project is Solving a Problem. This one is telling a story. You're listening to bcdW Current Today. Weekdays, we take one story from a real city and read it through the eyes of other cities. On Saturdays, the direction reverses. Simeternal.city is a city that doesn't exist yet. Today, its story is read through the eyes of the cities living that question right now. On March 19th, a document landed quietly on the internet. It didn't come from a government. It didn't come from the UN or a venture capital firm. It came from a project called simeternal.city, and it proposed something no other floating city project in the world has proposed. Not a platform for climate survival. Not a real estate play on water. A city, designed around the people who have lived the longest on land that is disappearing. The white paper outlines a floating platform built from 4 decommissioned cruise ships, connected in diamond formation, designed as an 18-minute city. Its first citizens, elderly people displaced by the climate crisis. Its second citizens, humanoid robots, neither defined by dependency. Both co-citizens, active participants in the design, economy, and daily life of a city built on purpose and built together. New York is Chapter 1. 5 waterfront sites are under consideration. On April 18th, the first site will be announced. There are at least a dozen floating city projects active in the world right now. They share a diagnosis: rising seas, coastal displacement, land scarcity. They share an engineering ambition. What they don't share: a city whose founding premise is that the oldest generation in human history is not a problem to be managed, but the point around which the city is designed, and that the story of that city matters as much as its infrastructure. That is the difference. And it begins in New York. Let's see how other cities read this. Busan. Oceanics Busan is the most technically advanced floating city prototype in the world right now. But it's designed as an extension of an existing city, a neighborhood that happens to float. Simeternal.city is a city that happens to be new. Busan is solving a land problem. Simeternal is solving a belonging problem. Both cities need each other's answer. Tokyo. Tokyo is the only city that has already connected floating urbanism to aging population design. Tokyo-based studios have proposed semi-submersible platforms, healthcare, retirement, aquaculture. But Tokyo's proposals are technical frameworks. Simeternal.city's addition is the one Tokyo doesn't have: a narrative. A city people want to live in is a city with a story. Tokyo has the engineering. New York is building the story first. Malé. Malé is not building a floating city by choice. It's building one because more than 80% of the Maldives sits less than 1 meter above sea level. Simeternal.city's first citizens are defined the same way. The difference: Simeternal chose this population as a design premise before the crisis forced it. Malé is living the emergency version of the same story. NEOM. NEOM is the world's most capitalized future city project: young, mobile, high-earning. What NEOM has not designed for is what happens to that population in 40 years. Simeternal.city is starting where NEOM ends: Rotterdam. Rotterdam has the deepest technical knowledge of any city on Earth about building on water. What Rotterdam exports is engineering expertise. What it hasn't exported is a model for who lives in these cities and why. Simeternal.city is the story Rotterdam's engineering needs. Seoul. Seoul funded Oceanics Busan and is watching the floating city space closely. But Seoul's deeper stake in Simeternal.city is demographic. Seoul is aging faster than almost any other major city in the world, and its urban design has not caught up with that reality. New York is writing the design brief Seoul's planners need but haven't written yet. Seoul should be reading it carefully. Every day, one city, one story. On Saturdays, one future city. Many views. This is bcdW Current Today. People live in cities, not in nations.